Welcome to Hey Dad Podcast. Real dads, tough issues, and a genuine love for a fatherless generation.
Welcome, and thank you for joining us today. Hey Dad Podcast is sponsored by Rise Church of La Habra, and I need to say this, all views expressed in the conversation today may or may not reflect the views of the church. We shoot from the hip and we just have an honest conversation, and sometimes things may not come out the way we necessarily would want them to, but we're being authentic. My co-hosts and the people helping me with this program today are Frank Lomeli, and to his left, Chris Lawler. Guys, thank you for being here. I really appreciate it. We all appreciate it. Yeah. Today's topic, how do we create special moments with your kids? That's so important. I love that topic. How do we create special moments with our kids, the ones that they're going to remember? Mm-hmm. And I think that's an important thing, because in the end, your children growing up are going to have memories. And hopefully there's enough of those special ones. But how do you get them? Yeah. So I love the topic. I love the thought. I have a million stories, but I'll get into that. But any thoughts on that, guys?
Well, we all have some adult kids at this stage in our life. And a lot of times my daughter will come to me with her favorite memories. I'm thinking, you don't have the right memories. What about this and this and this that were incredibly special, that I really went all out for, and they didn't score at all? But the memories that she has were things that are like almost accidents. Like that just kind of accidentally happened. So the moral of that little comment is that you never know what moments are going to be the special ones. So you got to be throwing a lot of spaghetti on the wall all the time, because you never know what's going to stick.
Right. That's at the heart of what I was thinking. It's not about how much planning goes into it or how what. Just spend a lot of time with your kids, mm-hmm. and moments will come during that time. Carve out time for your kids. Make time. And in all of that, those special moments come because they kind of come randomly. Now, don't get me wrong. I think that it's really nice, especially for our daughters, when you plan that special thing for them, and they feel special and they know how much you love them. And those are good too. But I really do think it's not when you spend time with your children, those things come. Those heartfelt conversations come. Those funny moments come. And I think it's just through spending time. You know, it's funny with my boys, one of the approaches, I knew this ahead of time, and I never would tell them about this, but I would always think about this. Anytime it was just the two of us driving in the car. Because men, we're comfortable talking side by side. We don't have to look in each other's eyes. Actually, sitting there looking in each other's eyes is a little uncomfortable for us.
Right.
And I read an article talking about how men, or boys especially, feel more comfortable driving in the car and having these conversations. Yeah. So I always took advantage of that. And I always would try to engage my kids. And a lot of the time is they're just ignoring you, you know? They want to listen to their music or play their game, and that's fine, you know? Mm-hmm. But you're going to have those moments when you guys connect on something. Yeah. Or when you stumble into something that's meaningful to them. So the first component of it, I would say, is time. Right. You know?
It is, and I think there's some moments that you plan out for them, whether it's birthdays or you go out of your way to take them somewhere or something. They appreciate that. But I think it's in our DNA when you did something you didn't mean to do, and it came out funny or inspiring or something. I think that's why that sticks, is because the other stuff is appreciated because you planned it. But what you do, not knowing that you're doing it, it's engraved.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And we don't get that. So, you know, you can't always be acting, you know, and then again, you don't always pull things out of the bag and mean for them to be funny or whatever. But I think for some reason, kids connect. Just like a child has a bond with a mom, you know, because, well, they bear them, we're in their bodies, they nurture them. I think our bond would be original with your kids. And it's those times that even you may do something dumb, that you hurt yourself or you tripped or you knocked something down and you responded somehow, and they were there and they capture that moment. that could be something special for them. Like, man, I remember when Dad did this. It was hilarious. I couldn't even believe it. That's so impacting and special.
Yeah.
It kind of falls, it could be categorized in different age stages. Like the kind of things that would become special for little kids, like till they're 10 years old. Those are things where, especially for a father, getting on the floor, getting down in their world, down on their level, and rolling around in the games that they like to play, those things are incredibly important to them. Like I would play with, I had two little kids, James, my autistic son, and his little sister, Hannah, who at that time we called Pinky. Pinky was a meatball. She was cute as a button, but she was strong. And so I would get down the floor and I would play like we were battling with each other with pillows, and like I was a monster, and the kids would jump on my back and I buck them off and they're trying to tame me. And one time we're playing, and every time the kids would come and hit me, then I'd throw myself back dramatically, like they just crashed me into the wall. All right. Well, I kind of convinced my kids that they were superhuman with me. All right. So one time I'm playing and I'm on this side and I'm coming at Hannah on all fours. She comes up to me and grabs me by the hair, both fists, and pulls me as hard as she can. It's like she's ripping my scalp off. And all I could do is try to crawl as fast as I could towards her to take the pressure off. And she was backpedaling as fast as she could too. And I had to suppress my dad's desire to want to wallop her against the wall like a bear cub, you know? But I convinced her that she was superhuman. And finally, the only thing that saved me is she hit the wall behind. But that little moment, no way in the world I would plan for that. But that stuck with her all her life. She tells that story to all of her friends, how I tore my dad's hair out, and we just had so much fun.
I always try to meet my kids where they are at, because there was a period in our lives when I was God on earth to my children, and I breathed and that was enough, and they were all over me. They started getting a little older. They start coming to the realization that Dad's not as cool as, you know.
Maybe God with a little G now.
So I started trying to meet them where they were at. So I would wrestle with them, and I would insult them in worse. So I'm going to tell my one son, go get your little sister, meaning his brother, and I'm going to beat you both up. And, so wrestling was a thing. I would take my older one, who was a little harder to wrestle, I'd knock him down. Then I'd grab my other son, throw him on top of him, and then I'd stack them. And then I'd start singing the words to Freebird and lift my arms up so all the way to my body's on them. And I call that Freebird. Then there was steamroll. I'd throw him to the ground and roll over there.
Yeah, that's what I would do.
I used to get them on the bed. I'd lay down on them perpendicular and then roll up and down like a rolling pin. And I'd say, I'm squeezing all the extra giggles out of you. And every time I would get up to their chest, they were giggling and spilling out giggles. It worked for a long time.
That steamroller was a good one.
It got harder, though, because the older they got, I realized it couldn't meet me where I'm at. My stuff's too lame. I try to meet them where they were at with anime art. I try to meet them with video games. I try to meet them with things they enjoyed. And so trying to figure out, and then I kind of came to another conclusion. I have to meet them where they enjoy it and I enjoy it for there to be any consistency.
Yeah, otherwise you're taking a total hit for the team. And you only got a certain budget for that.
Right.
I face this with James all the time because being handicapped, there's so many things he can't do. So where early on, when I had these ideas of what it would be like to have a son, I'll playing football, throwing a football to him, throwing a ball. If I throw a football to him, it's going to hit him in the head. It's not going to catch it. So that's just got to go off the table. But you got to find things that. So one thing I did find with him is I found that he can go and play golf with me. He's not a great golfer, but he's got idiosyncrasies that make it kind of funny. Like when he goes to tee up, he'll pull the club back and then he rotates it in his hand and he'll spin that head around 3 or 4 times and then come right down on the sweet spot.
That's awesome.
It only goes about 30 yards or so, but it's just like such a funny thing. And I get such joy out of that it's kind of works for both of us. Because if you're always doing the thing that they like, I'm doing it out of duty, that gets old.
For my boys, they're big guys. But, when they were little, I used to tell them in the summer, we used to do a water balloon fight, right? But it was kind of therapy for me, man, because they knew I was going to nail them. I would nail them hard.
That fear element makes it more fun, though.
But they would like scream and run, and I literally wanted to nail them hard. And I knew the balloon was going to pop, but still, the balloon was so heavy that on the little ones, they'd fall, and they're in the back in the grass.
Oh, yeah.
But I would just, and then the other thing too is I got that slip and slide. Mm-hmm. So the older one can run and do it, but the little ones would go and just flop and wouldn't go anywhere. So I'd grab them and then just slide them like super hard where they run out of slide into the grass and then tumble. Yeah. I was kind of like rough with them, but my whole thing was I wanted my boys to be, rough. I want them to be tough, Nowadays, man, I got to be careful. I'll get sued by my own kid.
Well, that's the thing is once they get to this right around 10, when they start entering adolescence, the game changes.
Yeah.
Now all the awesome dad fun that we became such experts at becomes obsolete, especially with your daughters. There's certain contact sports you got to be tactful and strategic with this because other issues get into the mix. And same thing with your sons. When your sons get to the age where they start becoming aware of their own capability, now you're a competitive thing. It's like, I don't want you throwing that fastball at me or I'm going to try to smoke you too. It becomes a challenge.
Yeah.
And so it takes on a different dynamic. So special moments have to take on a little special character.
It's funny because I have an 8-year-old. I was blessed with an 8-year-old. I always wanted a daughter, and I got blessed with 2 daughters, but I have an 8-year-old. And I'm as tough as nails with her, man. Her mom gets on me all the time because we're always wrestling, punching each other, and she's like punching me back. And so finally she went to school and a kid did something to her and she defended herself and hurt the kid. Oh. And my wife came down on me. I said, but can you imagine? I go, she wouldn't have defended herself. I go, and she goes, yeah, but she's not supposed. So I'm repeating what I did with my boys, with my 8-year-old daughter. And then now she says, Mom, leave us alone. We're just playing. But it's like, okay, we got to tone it down. So.
Yeah, one planned trip that went over well with my daughter, and she remembers it, is when the space shuttle flew over different locations.
Yes.
Or the airplane with the space shuttle mounted on it.
Yeah.
And I thought, oh, okay, this would be cool. And so I pulled her out of school, and we drove to Anaheim. And it was so crowded near Disneyland because that's where one of the flyover spots were. We had to park and take a bus to Disneyland because that's how far away we had to park. Mm-hmm. And she got so excited. She goes, Dad, this is my first time. I'm all, first time what? Riding a bus.
Wow.
I didn't even realize that. When I was growing up, we were on the bus all the time.
And the bus is what she remembers. And that thing flying around, that was her too.
Yeah. And it's funny too because we're sitting there eating pretzels and I said, Amiha, draw what you're going to see. Because I didn't know she fully, I think she was 10 or so. And she ended up drawing the Mars rover. I'm oh, no, that's not it. I go, you're in for a real treat what you're going to see. But that's a memory that was planned. Yeah. But the thing she remembers from it was the bus ride.
The bus ride.
That was a special thing. I thought, oh, that's cool.
That's, again, that underscores that theory. So you never know what things are going to hit.
Yeah.
But you try to do a lot. Now, when my daughter got in high school, actually, the first time happened right before she went to high school. I decided to take her on a father-daughter trip. So this is something we planned. And I live in Whittier, so we, just kind of freestyling. I picked a destination to take her all the way up to Cambria, which is the small town that's closest to Hearst Castle. And the idea is we're going to go to Hearst Castle, take the tour, but it's going to be a couple of days trip. Mm-hmm. Not knowing how that was going to go, it turned out to be such a blast. Really? Because the whole thing was an adventure. The point of that trip wasn't an itinerary that we had to hit. It was, let's get in that car, let's start driving and see what happens together. Whatever happens, we're going to see it together. Yeah. As it turned out, they ended up being like a crazy tour of weird animals. Like one of the first destinations we went to, we saw a bunch of donkeys on the side of the road. Like, what are the donkeys doing out here? And then we got up to Solvang, and they had the ostrich farm. So we got mauled by the ostriches, which was strange. And then when you get all the way up to Cambria, part of Hearst Castle, Randolph Hearst had a zoo at one point. Well, the zoo's no longer there, and a lot of those wild animals are on that property. So we saw herds of zebra. Wow. We did not expect it all. And then you see the walruses down below on the beach in San Simeon. But I thought, well, I just wanted to have time with her. And we went to a musical theater performance in Cambria. she got the bug for acting on that trip. And when she came home, she made a memory box. It's like a 3-dimensional memory box. So it had all the little articles, the tickets, and things from the photos of all the different animals in that box to commemorate. And it was wonderful. I'm so glad I came so close to not doing that at all. Yeah. Like I was like, oh, she's not going to want to go with her dad anywhere. Yeah.
It's funny. I see this in my daughter more, but I'm sure boys have it too. They're very sentimental about certain things. Mm-hmm. Like just recently, her keychain to her car. What do you call it? The lanyard. Lanyard.
Yeah.
She had an old beat up one. It was almost disgusting. It was dirty and stuff. So I was at the dealer getting a part for a car, and I saw they had a Minnie Mouse one. So I bought it for her, and I just switched it off her keychain for her, just a little dad thing, Yeah. And I get home, she goes, oh, wait a minute, who did this? I'm on me. And she goes, oh, thank you, Dad. She goes, where's the old one? I said, I threw it in the trash. Now, mind you, it was dirty. She said, oh, no, my brother Mark gave me that. And she went and dug it out of the trash. I see how sweet
it was
that
an artifact.
It was, like a memory box, Those little things are nice. And some of our kids aren't that way, though. Some are like, oh, whatever, like they just move on. But some are very sentimental with those kind of trinkets that mark that event,
Other little things that you can add to your child's life that don't really cost very much are just little touches. Like when my daughter, when she was the age when she got a sack lunch, I would make the lunches. And I always make a good sandwich, but I always throw something weird in the lunch bag, like a light bulb. And then she would get to lunch, and all the kids are opening the bags, and it's like, they're saying, what'd your dad put a light bulb in there for? And she would just like laugh. First she was embarrassed, and then a battery would show up the next day. And then the next day it'd be, some jacks or, it could be anything. And she hung her hat on those moments. And it's like, my dad is with me. My dad is with me. Then when she got older, and money started to become important, that's an important threshold in your kids. I would, on my way to work, I'd take a $5 bill and stick it in the door handle of her car. Like just jam it in there. So when she came out to go anywhere, she'd pull that and there'd be money fall out of her. Nice. So she loved that. She always loved that,
one thing I always try to do, and it's so funny, with my boys, if I told them, hey, I'm going to bring pizza for you and your friends at lunch today, like if I had that rare day off, my sons would say, especially my middle one, would say something like, no, Dad, no, my friends are lame, they're not worth it. No, he would like say, I got to go to study hall after something. Like he would always like kind of shoot me down because he didn't want to put me out. Yeah. My daughter's the opposite. Okay, sweetheart, I'm not going to work today. I'm going to show up with pizza for you at lunch. Okay, Dad, but I'm going to have about 20 friends there. And sure enough, we'd meet on the lawn outside of the school, but she would totally grab it and take full advantage of it. And it would turn into something much bigger than I thought, know? So one time I told her, I'm bringing pizza for you. She said, what about buffalo wings? I'm like, wow. Just like that.
I had the 3 boys that were really close in age. And the middle one, Adrian was like, these guys are all big guys. And but Adrian, from when he was little, these guys were all 10-pounder, 11-pounders when they were born. And Adrian looked like a little gorilla. He's dark, but he turned out to be the football player. He turned out to be the really like buff guy, and he didn't even work out. It was just like, I don't know, he just developed that way. But when he was probably around 3 or 4, I don't know what, and this kid never talked. I was always like, do you want something, Adrian? What? That's the way he would do it, but don't let him hear the ice cream man. Because he would run around the front lawn, and he was always barefooted with no shirt. Yeah. And he was always like running around the lawn like a puppy going nuts. So then I would get him the ice cream, and he'd sit down, and it's just like all over, just melted everywhere, all over him. Then he would run around because he was so excited. Mm-hmm. One day I looked at him, and I saw that his feet were bleeding. Oh my God. And he's sitting there all happy. And I'm like, what's wrong with your feet? And we had the front grass, but then there was a sidewalk that went from the sidewalk, the city sidewalk, to the front of the house. Every time he ran by there, he must have like stumped his toe. But I never saw him flinch or nothing. He just like, vroom, vroom, vroom. And I said, what happened? And he's like, he just shrugged his shoulders, wouldn't say nothing. But it was just so funny because for him was like that ice cream was like more than just ice cream. Yeah. He was so excited. And the other 2, would love seeing, they're saying, they'd hear the ice cream truck and they go, and they look at his brother Adrian because they knew he was going to start running.
Right.
And so it was just something that everybody enjoyed. I was like, but.
And you were his dad, man.
Yeah.
And I sat there with him and he wouldn't say a word, man. He was just like in love with that popsicle.
Yeah.
And until the stick. Then the
That's
stick would go
awesome.
flying and then he'd run around the yard some more.
One of the things I did when my kids were just at that transitional age, right around 8 or 9, I would go out on the front lawn and I had pocket change, right? So I go somewhere and I drop change in the grass without them seeing it. Then I would say, look, kids, I want to show you something. I get the garden hose and I spray a fine mist up into the sun where do you see the rainbow? Yeah. And I maneuver that and maneuver them so that rainbow would land right where I put that change. So I'll go over there and look. And they go, it's like, my God, there's money there. I played that all summer long. And they took them all. They would be out there squirting that thing trying to make the rainbow themselves, but they could never find the money.
That's funny.
That's funny. Oh, my gosh. For me, part of a lot of the memories, though, are on my wife's side. Because, I grew up in a situation where we didn't have family rituals,
Yeah.
And my wife had rituals for everything. Oh, my gosh, Christmas?
Yeah, we didn't either.
She, even to this day, my kids can't say there's no Santa. She's never let go of that card. And so when they were getting like 12, 13, 14, they say, Mom, we know there's no Santa. We saw the gifts under your and Dad's bed. Something like then I guess Santa's not going to come bring you gifts. And there was a tone in here that had a threat in it.
Well played.
Oh, I love her. She's so funny with that, though. But to this day, the kids aren't comfortable saying, they wouldn't go up to her and say, Mom, there's no Santa. They can't. Because she had so much ritual in everything that happened. And Santa put it in the stocking, but our gift was separate from it. She had like everything, that created those memories.
This is a very important note, and one that you're illustrating with this is that as dads, we have the power to showcase the mothers in ways that they can't be that kind of wild and creative like we are. Yeah. Like we can go all over the map. But when you stage an event that showcases the love of your mother, to your kids, and shows off her skill to them, and helps that bond become even greater connected, that is a gift that just lasts for years and years and years.
Big time.
And I think a lot of moms are like that. And I think a lot of times we don't jump in and support that. We just kind of leave them to do that, and our excuses are, work, we're tired, we got a lot of weight on ourselves, we got responsibilities. I know that growing up, that was kind of like, I was a single parent, mom and dad, and I didn't know that was going to happen to me. And so I had a business and I had 3 boys and school and I don't even know, I wasn't saved then. I don't even know how I did that. And at the very beginning of that, I wasn't. And then a little bit after is when I came to church and then things began for me. But yeah, moms are so important because they keep that. They just stick to it. I remember saying, the kids are old enough already. Why are you still saying Santa? Oh, just leave it alone. Just let them have fun. And I was like, I thought that was retarded. but then I stood quiet. Right. And I told, okay, one day they're going to know. And you know what? It's like you said, they go on forever, even though they know. They just love that part about mom. Yeah, she stuck to that, and then then they get older, and then they want to jump into that because now they're going to be parents, and so it's a thing that unfortunately we don't see.
So you bring up a really good point. Sometimes we have to follow our wife's lead on this. Like if you don't come from a structured home, but your wife does, follow her lead. Or maybe there's rituals she has. Like we have one where every year we put up the tree. And the family puts the ornaments. Kids loved it early on. And then we had a special ornament. It's called Black Santa. See, my wife's father was African American. And when we first started dating, we were painting little Santa Claus. We did like 13 of them. Yeah. And I made one of them black in my tip of the hat to Will. And that Santa became special to my family. So it's always the kids would fight over who hangs Black Santa. And they were even to the point where they're almost breaking and screaming. They'd turn into fights sometimes. But then they started growing out of it, and it was less cool. They were less interested in putting that. But my wife's dragging them. Get over here. We're doing it. You better come to the house. We're putting she
Well, it gives your family identity.
Yeah.
And that's a gift that the mother often has. Yeah. They have that ability to ritual. There's certain rituals that our family does and will always do. And you're a part of this family because you're washed in this ritual.
Yeah. Right.
Like my wife speaks greeting cards. I could care less. When I buy somebody a greeting card, I don't even care what I write. I get the greeting card, then I get another one and write what it says in there on there. Okay? That's the cheap way to do it.
I never thought about that. It's a good one.
And if anybody gives me a greeting card, I don't even read what it says. It's whatever they write is the only thing that's meaningful, but not to Susan.
Yeah.
To Susan, that greeting card that expresses just the right sentiment, she'll pore over that.
Yeah.
And pity the fool husband that doesn't give her the card on the appropriate time. And I've been that foolish husband from time to time.
And see, in my house, my mom, no, I don't know how this woman did it, but, you know, growing up with an alcoholic father, we knew that everything we did at home was going to go well at the beginning. And once my dad was at that point where he was drunk, it just ruined everything. So every time that we wanted to give up on that, she kept it together regardless. And that woman went through, you know, mental pain, and my dad doing what he did. And from when we were little to when we were older, it's like, oh, dude, we're over this crap. But my mom wouldn't let it go.
Right.
But because her agenda was to help us continue something in our home that was trying to be destroyed, you know, in our own personal home, once we got married, that was trying to be destroyed in our home growing up. Right. And if it wasn't for that woman, you know, and there's many other things, but if it wasn't for that woman, there was a lot of stuff that would have died a long time ago, and just we would have grown up with not caring about pretty much anything.
So to summarize all of this, we would say, spend time. From time, those moments will come. It's okay to plan special moments too. Sometimes they work, and it shows the child they're loved.
When they're young, make it get into their world.
Right.
When they get older, bring them into your world.
Yeah. And kind of meet them where they're at.
And you know, when you say spend time, I want to say something on that. It is true. But spend time doesn't always mean that you have to like do all the fun things and everything. It means when you're cutting the lawn or doing something in your house, bring them with you.
Yeah.
But don't be the professor or the teacher. Just let him ask, hey, Dad, what do you do with this? Or can you show me how to do it? Instead of, this is what you got to. So spending time, quality time is not always just going to Disneyland.
Yeah, it's the interaction.
Yeah, it's just
sitting
the interaction
in a movie theater for 2 hours looking at a screen does not count.
No.
As time spent together.
Yeah.
But sitting together, you know, talking about the movie maybe afterwards, that might play. You know.
So, guys, I want to work some time into this. This is a new part of the show we'd like to bring into it, is where we have questions submitted to us. Mm-hmm. So I have one question I'd like to go over, and if time allows. A young man, fatherless, and I said, what are those things you would like to ask a man? He said, you know what got me? He goes, I didn't know how to shave. He goes, I even broke down and cried because I was so frustrated. He didn't know how to shave. How's a mother going to teach you how to shave? Any shaving tips for men?
Wow.
I could lead it.
Yeah.
Because I understand this.
That's kind of interesting.
I was at the same crossroads. I understand this question. I remember I didn't know.
Well, I can tell by your face you've given up shaving. So it must have been pretty hard.
Just so you know, I've done this for years. I don't know why. I don't use any gels. I dry shave.
Oh, no.
You are a man.
That's what not to do.
Okay, well, I dry shaved, and I've been doing this for, can't remember how long. I just get out of the shower and vam, to the point where it doesn't even hurt me anymore.
Right. Wow. That's hardcore. No, here's my suggestion. Don't dry shave one. Because it burns. You get a little, what do you call it, rash? Razor rash.
Yeah, razor rash, right.
One thing that I always struggled with is the hair right underneath your nose.
Uh-huh.
And it's okay to lift your nose up. And you don't think about that because you can't reach it. But the most important one I would give, shaving tip I'd give is don't shave up.
Yeah.
Against the flow of your beard.
Against the flow of your beard. Because
like, look at your beard, it goes down. Right. So shave down with it.
Shave down with it. Don't shave up because I cut myself bad twice. And so it seems like shaving up, you're more vulnerable to cut. Mm-hmm. These are just my own tips from things I learned from myself.
Right.
Lift your nose. Hit that spot underneath and don't shave up.
Right. So, see, I have to shave my son, James. He's 37. He doesn't do a razor. So it's been kind of like shaving a water balloon, you know?
Oh, yeah. Wow.
It's like got to move his face around and the whole anatomy of the thing. He never gets out of there without a cut or two.
Right.
You know, I would say for a youngster to start shaving, choose a good gel, you know, and do it right after you get out of the shower.
Yeah, because it's moisturized.
Yeah, because it's moisturized, and add the gel, and then buy a good razor. You know, that's important. Buy a good razor.
Spend a little money on the razor.
Spend a little money, buy a
Cheap
good
ones out
razor. Now, the reason why I'm able to do what I do is I spend good money on a good razor, sharp, and I don't use that razor for months.
It's like those multi-blade razors.
Yes, and so I go against the grain.
Ooh.
I don't do gel. That's I don't know how I developed that, but I remember that I hated to go through the whole thing of putting the gel, wiping the face. It's like I'm out of the shower, bam, 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 and I'm out.
You're a Klingon, you know? You're a Klingon.
Yeah, that's Klingon stuff.
But I would say for a youngster is right out of the shower, use a good gel, use a good blade, downward, and that's how and then later on you'll develop your own.
Okay. And my advice is don't listen to Frank. So I'll summarize that one.
I'm there with Crocodile Dundee there.
Yeah, Crocodile Dundee-esque. All right, cool. Well, guys, thank you very much. Let's close with a prayer.
Yeah. Special moments. Lord, I just pray that there are a lot of low-hanging fruit that sometimes a dad doesn't see. Little moments you can have with your kids when they're little moments you can have when they're a little bit older. Even moments that you can have with your children when you're in that conflict stage of life. I just pray that the radar would be up and that the opportunities would be seen and they'd be seized. Using the same, what we talked on another show before, put your pride down and just give yourself to your kids. Then let a moment be there. You never know what's going to land. So, Father, I thank you so much. You have given us so many of your moments. Yes. Thank you, Father. Holy is your name, and we bless these dads in the name of Jesus.
Amen.
Amen. Thank you.